Schools, what's going on in our schools? The nation's PE teacher, Joe Wicks, kicked off a debate this week after pulling his daughter out of school, opting to educator at home instead. And it's no surprise that more people are turning to homeschooling. Only a week until the start of term, hundreds of schools in England are at risk of closure after the discovery of potentially deadly concrete in buildings. And that's just the buildings themselves, not to mention the rise of the old woke curriculum with increasingly sexualised content materials making their way into the classroom. It can't be a surprise, surely, that homeschooling is becoming an increasingly popular option. I do think it is an absolute disgrace, by the way, that we are now, about a week away from the start of term, and parents are desperately trying to find out whether or not the school building they're going to send their kids to might fall down around them. But joining me now is home educator and digital creator from Devon. It's Karen Howden. Karen, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the show. Look, I've been saying for some time now that I think we're going to see a rise in homeschooling for a variety of different reasons, OK? Can you just explain your situation, your setup for us, please?
Yes, of course. Hi. I homeschool my son Winter. I have 3 boys of education age. There's a 5-year-old, Winter is 7, and then Jonah is 10. We decided to take Winter out last year because we felt that the school wasn't able to give him what we could give him. He is autistic, and we felt that he wasn't being provided for academically. And as my husband and I are both qualified teachers, we felt that we could support him at home on a one-to-one basis, which is really the nub of the problem that we found in school. There's just not the support, the funding to, have that one-on-one that so many children need.
I speak to quite a lot of parents who have pulled children out of school for a variety of different reasons. And they say to me that they just fundamentally feel as though they can do a bit of a better job. They found maybe during the coronavirus pandemic when they were homeschooling children then, and then they had a look at some of the stuff that they didn't agree with that was maybe being taught to them in schools as well. And they just thought that they wanted to take control of their own children's education. And I think that's quite a fascinating development, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone got a taster of homeschooling during the lockdown. And I think for a lot of people, it was surprisingly positive that they could spend more time with their children, find out more about them, and really support them in education. And then there's been this reluctance to go back to the old sort of template. I mean, for us, we're a very close family. We all spend all of our time together anyway. And it was a real joy, actually, being able to homeschool them. And we see positives coming out of the sort of the regimen of school being broken away and being able to focus on things that they are passionate about, things that they love, and also know that they are being educated. It's not just about sitting at a desk, having a pencil, because for our son Winter, he was being he was seen as having behavioural issues. That wasn't the case. He just can't focus for more than 15 minutes. And, we are able to bring the best out of him here at home.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at this story now. Buildings at 52 schools in England were at risk of sudden collapse due to dangerous concrete. Safety measures have supposedly since been put in place at those schools, which were deemed critical, which is not a particularly nice sentence to read if you're thinking about sending your kids there. More than 100 others, which were previously thought to be at less risk, have magically become high risk. So now parents are trying to figure out whether or not their school is actually going to fall down around their kids. That's, of course, before we've even got stuck into some of the issues about what is being taught in those schools as well. I mean, I just can't help but feel as though we are completely failing an entire generation of kids here.
I know, and not only the children, but the parents as well, because the cost of living crisis has put so much pressure on us to, during the summer holidays, go out for these activities that are costing, like it would cost our family about £100 to go to the cinema. That's one day out, and holidays and all these things. And now it's back to school and the pressure to buy new shoes, buy new uniform, buy new bags. It's all, draining us as well financially.
No, indeed. Can I ask a bit, it's a bit of a personal question, but when it comes to your own children's education generally and things, do you agree with everything that's being taught to them in schools sometimes? I know we do a lot here on this channel about some of the issues about children maybe from the age of 4, for example, being taught about, quite adult themes. And some people have said that it's maybe kind of the sexualisation of children, etc. What's your views on that?
Well, I mean, luckily I only have primary school children. I would be more anxious about sort of later education. But, I was a secondary teacher, so I do know what curriculum is moving towards. So when my year 5 son was starting to do sex education and started asking me questions, I did request that the school provide me with the curriculum so I could see exactly what was being taught, because it is worrying that you don't have that control. And I suppose that is a benefit of homeschooling, not in the way that we are, here to brainwash our children at home. It's like a cult type thing, homeschooling, because it's becoming far more embraced in our society. But I do want to keep an eye on what is being taught in our schools to our children.
Yeah, more power to you, to be honest. And I would argue that it's the reverse of brainwashing, actually. I think in many cases it's genuinely just trying to keep them safe. But I really appreciate you coming on, and good luck to you. And thank you for just discussing the realities for you about homeschooling and schooling in general, etc. It's Karen Howden there, who is a home educator, digital creator from Devon. So, yeah, look, that got me thinking, really, when I saw about a combination of stories there about schools crumbling, which is, by the way, an absolute disgrace, isn't it? That, we've had a load of kids off school because of the coronavirus, then we've had teachers' strikes, and then now they're looking to get back to school again. That's before we talked about inflated grades, by the way. It looks as though some of those schools are going to crumble, and parents can't find out entirely where those schools are, which I just think is bonkers. What is going to happen to a generation of children?